Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. If this is the first time that you're seeing me, I am the Hermie Tarot and this is my YouTube channel. Now, I do have a second channel as well where I do mostly zodiac readings. Actually, it's just all zodiac readings. And we've recently been putting a lot of content out on there. I usually go live on that channel as well, so if you want to interact one-on-one, that's a good place to do it. And if you aren't subscribed or you enjoy zodiac readings more, I highly recommend you head over there and see what I'm putting out over there. But right here on this channel, we are doing a tarot and oracle reading. We're asking Spirit, what do people underestimate about you? Now, this reading is different. Unlike the plethora of readings that I've put out recently over here, there is no extended reading for this video. If you're an Amethyst Hermie, you will have 24-hour early access to this reading before it goes live on YouTube, and it will be at least 24 hours in advance to when it goes public. So that is your incentive. Thank you so much for everything that you do for me over on the website. I appreciate all of your support, and there will be an extended reading in the next video. If you would like to support this reading, the best way that you can do that is by liking the video, sharing it with a friend, or commenting down below and subscribing if you haven't already. You don't have to do all of that, you could just do one or two, but let me introduce this video in depth to you. So here's what you can expect for this reading. To look at what people underestimate about you, each of these groups is going to be examining core themes with oracle cards about what people around you underestimate about you at the time that you're interacting with this video. Now, this is a timeless reading. I recommend that you come back over time and see if you feel drawn to a different group. All of the groups were so different and revealed very different underestimations. So I think it's the kind of reading that you could come back to in some time and pull out a different energy, a different outcome. With tarot, we will also be having a look at what the people in your life underestimate about you. We're going to look at what your friends underestimate, what your family underestimates. We're going to look at strangers and also love interests, people that you're interested in romantically. What do they underestimate about you at the time that you're seeing this? So that's what you can expect from this video. Here are the four groups. We have 4 crystal towers, all very different colors, very different types of crystals. Starting with group 1, we have the clear quartz crystal tower. If you feel drawn towards this crystal, you'll be a part of group 1's reading. Click on group 1 in the timestamp to access your reading. Group 2 has the rose quartz crystal tower, so if you feel drawn towards this crystal tower, you'll be a part of group 2's reading. Click on the group 2 timestamp in the description box below. Group 3, your tower is a little enigmatic. I'm not 100% sure what this crystal is. I remember buying it because it really called me, if that makes sense. Like the energy was it drew me in. And I will refer to it as the green crystal tower, but really if you have any clues as to what type of crystal this is, please let me know in the comment section below. What is group 3's crystal tower? If you feel drawn towards this beautiful enigmatic crystal, you'll be a part of group 3's reading. And then last but not least, we have group 4 over here. In group 4, you have a very interesting amethyst crystal tower. It has a lot of different facets in it, and it's been cut into a crystal tower, even though it looked like it was probably wanting to do its own thing. But if you feel drawn towards this amethyst crystal, you'll be a part of group 4's reading. So those are the 4 groups. To access your reading, you do need to select a group. When you know which of these 4 groups you feel most drawn to, click on the timestamps below, as I've been saying. There is going to be a guided meditation playing right after this. It's about a minute, 2 minutes. and it is created to connect you to your intuition. So if you need more help intuitively selecting a group, that meditation can be helpful to play. Pause the video at any time if you need more time, and when you know where to go, I'll see you in your reading. To open your meditation, I'm going to ask you to take in 3 deep, mindful breaths. I want you to breathe in for 3 seconds and breathe out for 3 seconds. I will be guiding you through this. Make sure you're comfortable. Focus on the sound of my voice, and let's begin. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. Last breath. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. From this relaxed place, observe the groups in your mind. It can help if your eyes are closed. Is there a specific color you feel most drawn to right now? Perhaps it was a phrase I spoke about in the intro. Allow your relaxed mind to guide you to a group you are being most drawn to. Remember, your intuition is not a loud voice, but it is a strong voice, and it knows which of these groups contains the most honest messages for you. Allow it to guide you through symbols, colors, objects, and phrases that will connect you with the group that holds the most clear, honest messages for you. If you need more time, pause the video or repeat this meditation. Hi my group ones, and welcome to your reading. If you recognize this clear quartz crystal, you're in the right place. We're asking Spirit today, what do people underestimate about you? I'm pretty keen to get into this reading, especially without the pressure of an extended reading, so we can really uncover the depths of the question at hand. And before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and set my intentions as your reader. As the viewer, I highly recommend you set your intentions as well. Consider signs of confirmation you may also need to see or hear to claim this reading as your own. So with that being said, let's tune in. Spirit, please connect me to my group one's energy, those that chose the clear quartz crystal. Please help me offer them the most clear, honest messages for their reading. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so I think we're going to start with some oracle cards, sweet souls. What do people underestimate about group one, Spirit? Those that chose the clear quartz crystal. What do people underestimate about group one? What do people underestimate about group one? Okay, we have waning crescent moon, and at the back of the deck is the 12th house. So straight away, look at the symbolism. 12th house being reversed. What a lot of people underestimate about you is just how much certain things mean to you. So group one, these cards tell me that people usually read into things either too much with you, or they misidentify the meaning behind your words, your actions, and your interests. It looks like you have your depth, and there's a side to you that cares very, very deeply about the things that you're passionate about, or about the people in your life, and also about your sense of purpose with the 12th house. You have this level of knowing, and it translates into the things that you do, the people who you choose to spend your time with, and the relationships that you build. The people in your life are meaningful, but what a lot of people underestimate is just how meaningful they are to you, or just how meaningful other people are to you. It seems like the way that you show love and the way that you build your relationships can at times be taken for granted. And the people around you, they may not mean to intentionally, but they tend to believe that you'd prefer more time alone, or that you are kind of distancing yourself from them at times when you're just trying to be yourself. So the way that this feels is that your close people, who may be people that you were raised with, it could also be people that you've known for years and years and years, have the tendency to feel like they are at times over stimulating towards you, or that they are over, what's the word? Like just being too much for you, and that you would prefer your time away from them and alone. And the way that it's coming through is as this feeling of group one just needs their alone time, and what I'm doing and saying is too much for them. What I'm feeling and going through is too much for them. So instead of opening up to group one, I'm going to keep it to myself, or I'm going to open up to someone else. And it's quite the opposite. I think that you have times where you may need to chill, but I think that you're also someone who potentially zones out a lot, or just dissociates, or when you're around people who you can be yourself with, you don't want to try. You don't want to force yourself to be extroverted or social or communicative. Like, you just want to unmask and not think too much. And it feels like some people around you overthink that, and they read into it too much, to the point where they assume that you're emotionally distancing yourself and that they did something wrong. So I do think that people often misunderstand that about you, and it is coming through as like an emotional need more than anything. It's an important part of how you give and receive love. In order for your connections to feel fulfilling, you have to be able to unmask. You have to be able to be your true self without feeling like the people around you are expecting you to be more and are expecting you to pretend. So there's this side to you that is very misunderstood, and it is a deep side, and it's also a side to you that when you find people who you can be yourself around and who you don't have to perform for, it's incredibly healing. And it's something that you at times really hold on to at your own detriment, because if those people are able to let you be yourself, but they also take advantage of that, you know what I mean? Then it can lead to you putting up with all of this other harmful behavior from them, just because they also let you be yourself, but they may not have a lot of time for you, or they may expect you to always be there for them, but it's okay because you can just be yourself. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that that happens all the time, but it is something that could happen because of this misunderstanding that other people have towards you. Now, with that being said, group one, what I am seeing with this waning crescent moon, together that's the message, but by itself, this card talks about just a slither of light. And I think that this resembles you as a person. People see just the surface, just a slither, just a little bit, and you could use it to your advantage. You could feel like you are someone that can make a really strong first impression if you want to, or that you're someone who can literally just disappear into the crowd like a wallflower if you want to. But it feels like what's frustrating is when it happens and you don't want it to happen, when people only see what they want out of you, when people project things onto you, or when people take one of your qualities and make it your whole personality, and you're here going, well, actually, there's so much more to me that you can't even see, let alone understand. And so that's what this also feels like. It feels like people have the tendency to take one aspect of what they know about you and they make it your whole identity. As an example, let's say, when you met this one friend, you were wearing a maxi skirt. It was a long skirt and you didn't think too much about it. You thought, I like the skirt, but I just want to be comfortable. Now, whenever you see that person, they call you maxi skirt. Oh, it's you, maxi skirt. Group 1, the maxi skirt. And you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't actually worn a maxi skirt in 2 years. And that's another example of how people kind of either label you or project one aspect of your interests and make it your whole identity. And it feels very much like they're misunderstanding you and underestimating the depths of your personality and who you are. Now, I'm going to pull more cards, but I just want to talk about you in professional settings, whether this is about your career or about instances where you're brushing shoulders with professionals. I feel like people in those settings underestimate you because they underestimate how much potential you can bring into those settings. And it feels like if you're the professional, you may have people underestimating your creative thinking, your problem-solving abilities, your life experience. People completely underestimate how much life experience you have. And they may also underestimate your emotional resilience. And this is for better and for worse. You could be someone that's either put in really high pressure situations because they look at you and they go, group 1 can handle that. Or you're someone that's given basic tasks because they assume you can't handle more. So you're either seen as someone that's oversensitive or that's a little unassuming, if that makes sense. And if you're oversensitive, well, they don't want to overwhelm you. So they're just going to give you a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting. And so work can feel really boring in those environments. And if you're unassuming, they're going to let you do the same thing over and over and over again and then throw things at you without really asking you because they just expect you to do what they tell you to do. And so with the 12th house reversed, even as you mature physically, but especially when you're younger, people underestimate how much life experience you have, how much wisdom you have, and also how your intuition plays a pivotal role in your problem-solving skills, in your ability to react well under pressure, and in how you always seem to figure it out. Now, you may have a Pisces or Sagittarius placement that is especially helpful in those circumstances. But the 12th house reversed means that people in your profession underestimate you by not seeing how you deserve to be recognized as more than who you are today. You have a whole history of experience that you bring into those roles, and you have a potential of intuitive wisdom that only unlocks when you're put in the right position to feel your way through it and to figure it out as you go, which is why your creative problem solving is so good. But I feel like people underestimate that. Now, if you were to seek a professional, whether it was for counseling services, maybe health services in general, or like litigious reasons, if this was a lawyer, even if you were buying a house or renting a house and you needed to talk to a real estate agent, those types of people in those professional roles underestimate I guess, the way that you live, especially if they get to see, like if it's a real estate agent, from when they approved your application to when they make their first routine inspection, for example, and visit your home, it'll be like night and day. People severely underestimate your private life and who you are when you're not performing. I think that you're good at masking and you present as an almost innocent, again, I'm hearing unassuming, almost just typical person. And then when they get to peel back the layers and get to know you better, whether it's a real estate agent, a healthcare professional, a lawyer, anything in between, any professional that you are interacting with as a client, they realize how complicated you are behind the scenes. And if this is a healthcare professional who's trying to understand your mind, your psychological being, they severely underestimate how much awareness and intelligence you have about your emotions. With waning crescent moon, you may have stuff going on. You could have traumatic experiences in your past, and you could be going through a really difficult time. But you don't give that away straight away. And I think that's a horrible thing for a health professional to assume. Oh, you don't look unwell. You don't look like you're struggling. But it's something that they don't immediately identify. There's layers to you that seems to be masked very well by some sort of slither of, I didn't even see that coming at all. So let's get some tarot cards out now. And we're going to have a look at some specific people in your life. We're going to start with your family members. And I will be asking about your love interests as well. But let's have a look at what your family underestimates about you. Spirit, what card will best describe what Group 1's family underestimates about them? Okay, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And Group 1's friends, what do they underestimate about Group 1? What do strangers underestimate about Group 1, Spirit? And what do their love interests underestimate? Okay, just going to make this a little bit more even. Is that better? That's pretty good. All right. So at the back of the deck, we have the Four of Cups. So this is going to be relevant to each of the cards, so I will refer back to it, but we're going to start with your family. With the Wheel of Fortune here, your family underestimates your desire and passion to experience more in this life. It feels like you may have been born into a family that has always done things a certain way, or who could be from a certain religious or cultural background. And what they underestimate is how you want more than that. You want to experience more than that, but you also want to follow your own free will. You don't want to feel tied down by other people's expectations and what they want of you. So they underestimate how much your passions, your interests, and all of these callings feel like a sense of purpose that has you trying to find your own freedom to do and be whatever you want. And you don't want to be successful while you're doing it. You don't want the highest paying job. You don't want the most important role. You just want the experience, and you want the freedom to be able to change if you want to. So your family underestimates how much you want to make the most out of your life and how much you want to do your own things, how important these things are to you, and also how meaningful these experiences are because of how much they add to your well-being, your sense of self, your own identity, as well as your sense of purpose. So your family severely underestimates that. And they may underestimate how much you want to either travel or live in another country. They also underestimate what you want to learn about in life and the type of educational opportunities you want to have, whether that includes you gaining some form of higher education or having the freedom to just do what you want for higher education. You could feel like your family's wanting you to do something very specific where you want to do something else instead. Now, if we have a look at your friends, with the Devil card reversed, your friends underestimate how influential they can be, and they also underestimate how much their habits, their wants, their needs really rub off on you. You may be susceptible towards peer pressure or just picking up habits from the people around you. And those that are really close to you, that are a safe space to you, underestimate how much of an influence they have on you. With the Devil card reversed, you're also someone who has an influential role to play in their lives. And they do underestimate how to be more healthy as a supportive role in your life, how to be more healthy as a friend. They may assume that their role in your life is to encourage rebellion and encourage you to be a little spontaneous and to not focus so much on your responsibilities. But really, with this Devil card reversed, they underestimate how much of a supportive influence they can be by helping you set healthy trends, healthy habits, and sustainable outcomes of excitement and pleasure, rather than instantly gratifying outcomes that lead towards self-sabotaging and just self-destruction. So your friends are people you're likely to grow with in life, or you're likely to go through a lot of transformative friendships that help you understand how to have a healthier lifestyle balance. You may have friends that you go through a lot of experimental phases with, where you're experimenting with substances or alcohol or even just codependency in your friendships. And you are learning through your friendships how to have that healthier lifestyle balance where your own needs are important as much as theirs, and where what you do together shouldn't be destroying your health or shattering your sense of self and your own security. So your friends underestimate how they can be a healthy, supportive part of your life. Even if you're not perfect, there's a way to support each other through change, rather than assuming that you have to do everything together or be on the same wavelength. Does that make sense? You guys should be able to support each other, even if their goals don't match yours, for example. And so your friends underestimate how you grow differently because of the way that you meet. They may expect you to be the same your whole life, whereas that's not the case. You seem to outgrow them because you want more for yourself. You want a healthier future where you're not burning yourself too thin or spreading yourself too thin. Now, when it comes to complete strangers, with the Eight of Pentacles here, complete strangers underestimate the fact that you are a hard worker. Not only do you have a strong work ethic, but when you put your mind to something, you do want to see it through. With that being said, you don't want to be taken advantage of. For some reason, strangers underestimate how willing you are to create meaningful change over time, and how you're able to put in consistent effort as long as you know you're going to be rewarded for your effort. You don't want to be in a situation where you're working as hard as a dog and you're getting paid pennies. So this could be very telling about the type of strangers you're interacting with at the moment, or it could say a lot about the community that you live in, where people are looking at you, group one, and they're assuming that you're not this capable, confident, hard worker, and that you don't have this work ethic that you bring to the table. Now, why is it work related? I'm not too sure, but it is causing you to miss out on opportunities that you deserve and that could be beneficial towards your career or towards your studies. And if the situation involves a face-to-face meeting, you would do better with a conversation rather than a photo. People need to get to know you by talking to you in order to understand your character and how much you bring into those environments where your work ethic is required. So this could be helpful advice if you're trying to apply for a job or a role and you feel like you're getting knocked back. People are underestimating how invaluable you are as a worker, let alone as somebody who's willing to grow and take on more responsibility if that means that they're getting paid for what they're doing. But what is coming through with this card is this feeling of you being judged as someone who's not going to be able to fit a specific role. And so I do think that you would benefit from having that conversation, or even doing like a video and sending them a link where you get to talk about yourself, your experience, your aspirations, and your qualities in a really fun way. I think that would be a good idea. Now, with the Queen of Pentacles over here, this is telling us about your love interests, the people who you're interested in love, and what they underestimate about you. We can see with the Four of Cups at the back of the deck, you guys do seem to be someone that kind of comes across as fun, but people that you're interested in severely underestimate how loyal and reliable and attentive and caring and nurturing you can be. Once you're invested, you're in it. You put a lot of your time, your effort, your resources, and your values into your relationships. And when it comes to romance and love, there is this feeling of you being a high value partner because of how attentive you can be and because of how meaningful time with your person is to you. You prioritize your relationships, you prioritize your lover, you make them an important part of your day, and you also make those little moments significant. You're the type of person who doesn't miss anniversaries. You're sentimental. You keep little things that help you remember the relationship stages. And it feels like your lovers underestimate how high value you actually are, which could be very frustrating in this climate of dating, especially if, hookup culture is a thing in your community. You could be feeling like people just aren't seeing how much you have to offer as a serious partner. And even when you're a part of that dynamic, if you're interested in hookup culture, you could be someone that people are assuming is, a part of that. And then when they get to know you, they realize you have all of these deep and meaningful qualities that make you spouse material. So your love interests underestimate the longevity of your values, the long-term intentions behind your actions, and how naturally caring, nurturing, and attentive you are in relationships as well. So group one, that is what I'm seeing for you. That is what people underestimate most about you. Thank you so much for tuning in for your reading. I hope that was helpful. I hope I did you justice. If you would like to support this video, give it a thumbs up, consider commenting below how it resonated, and subscribe if you haven't already. As I mentioned, there is no extended reading, so if you want more from me, you're welcome to watch what I've already put out there, but I appreciate all of your support, your time, and your energy in this video. Thank you for letting me read for you. And until we meet again, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Bye. If you recognize this rose quartz crystal tower, you're in the right place. This is going to be a quick reading. Technically it's quick, only because there's no extended reading. So we're asking Spirit, what do people underestimate about you? My intention is to get as much information about the people around you and what they could be underestimating for you, especially if you chose this rose quartz crystal. Now, if it doesn't resonate, don't force it to fit. You may have messages in a different group, or this reading may just be intended for somebody else. So take what resonates, don't let the rest take from you. Now, to open your reading group 2, I'm going to tune into your energy and set my intentions. I highly recommend you do the same. Also consider setting intentions around what signs of confirmation you may need to see or hear to claim this reading. Signs of confirmation could include animals, although I'm not using many animals decks, numbers, zodiac placements, or colors, and we'll just go from there. Hopefully your signs of confirmation find you. So let's go ahead and set our intentions now. Spirit, please tune me into my group 2's energies. Please help me offer group 2 the most clear, honest messages for their reading. Thank you, Spirit. Ooh, I got chills. Group 2, who are you? Spirit, what do people underestimate about group 2? Whoops. What do people underestimate about group 2, Spirit? Okay. We have conjunction, and at the back of the deck we have 2. Oh wow, sweet souls. You are somebody that may really appreciate conversations and discussions that people might misinterpret as debates, but you seem to be somebody that likes to bounce ideas off of other people. Sorry, I'm trying to straighten it up. I don't think I'm doing a good job, but that's about as straight as I can get it. You come across as somebody that likes to bounce ideas off of the people around you. And when it comes to just feeling like yourself, your nature is to be able to include the people around you. And you don't do this with everybody. You don't just, you're not out here trying to be a part of everyone's story and make everybody a part of your story. You just want to include the meaningful people, those that are meant to be in your story. And so with this 2 here, what people seem to underestimate is how you're only including them if they mean something to you, and they shouldn't take that for granted. You have this side to you that is very genuine and that wants your loved ones with you during the challenges, but especially during your successes. Whenever you have a win, you want to celebrate that with the people who mean something to you, and therefore their input, their opinions, their ideas are valued. Even if you end up doing your own thing, you want people in your life who respect who you are, who take the time to listen to what you have to say, because you expect to do the same. And you could have been raised this way, but it's actually just a part of your nature. You have this side to you that wants the people around you to feel seen, heard, and valued. Now, outside of that, this 2 energy also represents duality within you, where you have aspects of your personality that oppose one another. And this can make you an incredibly complicated person, but it can also make you somebody who gets the best of both worlds, because one side of you may not like to be woken up early in the mornings, you may be more of a night owl, and then another side of you enjoys doing activities that you can only do during the day. And so if people are able to understand that about you, they're able to navigate those complexities without forming harsh opinions and underestimating how much something means to you. Somebody may hear that you don't eat dairy, but they may underestimate how special a specific type of food is to you because it has a special meaning based off of the fact that your grandmother used to cook that for you. And so I feel like you have these intricate things about you that create a lot of duality, a lot of opposition, and a lot of complementary qualities. But people may underestimate and misjudge you because they only hear one side of your story. They only see one aspect of your personality, and they're not able to put two and two together to see how colorful and multifaceted you are. With this conjunction card reversed, people tend to underestimate the fact that you're able, and I think this is emotional resilience, but it could also just be mental resilience. You're able to get over things easily under the right circumstances. When things come to a conjunction, they can feel quite intense, and then it feels like it's actually an opportunity rather than a challenge. With that card reversed, you may be somebody who likes to just vent, let it out at the time so that you can get over it and just get on with it. You don't like to dwell, but you do like to confront. You can't just ignore something, but you don't want to hold on to it either. So you need to address it so that you can move forward. And that's something that for some reason people don't seem to understand, and people may underestimate. Once you've addressed it, you're happy to move forward. But until that happens, it can feel like things are just dwelling, and that's what's uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable because it's a challenge. It's uncomfortable because it's not being addressed. And so really, you don't like to pretend, you don't like to gloss over things, and you don't like to leave situations to fester and get worse. You want to address them. And that's why in shadow, especially in this deck, the conjunction can feel confusing. It can feel like it's hard to figure out how to move forward or how to make the most out of a situation where there's a lot happening, because we're not identifying what is happening. We're just looking at the chaos. We're looking at it all come together, and we're just feeling it all come together. So people underestimate the fact that you can work well in these pressure situations, but you just need to feel it and identify it. Now, conjunction plus this 2 card makes me think that a lot of people underestimate how much you feel between the lines. And I don't know if this is an important message, but it needs to be said so that we can move forward. So it may not resonate for all of you, but really, there's a message here that people underestimate if they are somebody that you're connected to, that you feel a connection to, even if they're not a close friend or you haven't known them for very long, they underestimate how much you care and how much you feel. Once you have a connection to somebody, especially with this rose quartz, your empathy really feels and is very sensitive towards other people. And so if someone around you is going through something and they're trying not to tell you, I feel like you know. You're like, oh, I was waiting for you to tell me that. I could sense that something was wrong. I could tell that something wasn't right at home. Or, look, we've had such a frustrating day. I wish you would have just told me that when we first started working this shift together. because now I feel so much better. And so it feels like your empathy can really lock on to people's subtleties, the things that they're trying not to say, or the things that they don't know yet how to say, you feel. Now, outside of that, this card represents confusion. It represents a lot of energy that can't really blend together. And so I think what people underestimate about you is how they just seem to see the confusion. They see the fact that you have this and that. There's a lot going on. You're a complex person. And they don't understand how all of that is actually complementary. It creates a lot of character, and it creates a lot of sentimental experiences, because that's the only way that you seem to be able to go, well, yes, I'm going to do that. For example, you may be deathly afraid of open water, but you really enjoy fishing. And so you're going to go on a boat in open water if that means you get to go fishing. But a friend may book a trip and not invite you because they think you're afraid of open water. So people are often confused, and they underestimate how much you're willing to do in spite of your fears, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's get some tarot out and get more specific now. I hope that part did you justice. You're quite the complex individual, but also like not really. You feel like someone who's just very misunderstood in that way. So Spirit, when it comes to group 2, what do people underestimate about group 2 in terms of their family? What does group 2's family underestimate about them? What does group 2's friends underestimate about them? What does group 2's friends underestimate? And what do their strangers around them underestimate about group 2? What do strangers around group 2 underestimate? And what does group 2's love interests underestimate? Your love interests underestimate the 5 of Blades. Wow, goodness. All right, just try to make sure that that's quite, yeah, that's not too bad. All right. At the back of the deck is the Ace of Pentacles. So this is going to tell us a little bit about each card as we go through your reading, group 2. Now, goodness me, starting with the 4 of Pentacles here. Your family underestimates your sense of security. Your family may expect a lot more from you than what you're actually able to give. They underestimate how much you need routine, how limited your capacity actually is, and they may even underestimate your financial needs. They may underestimate how important it is for you to just lock down and focus on your foundation right now. With the 4 of Pentacles, it feels like they underestimate your lifestyle and that they don't truly understand the ways in which you're spending, making, and investing money. It also feels like this is about your time and how your family doesn't understand how precious your time is or how limited your time is. You may feel like your family sees you as a very selfish person who doesn't have a lot of time for them. Or you may feel like your family doesn't get to see you very often, and they may say things to you like, oh, you're leaving already? Or of course you can't make it. What are you doing anyway? It's Saturday. Why are you working? So they either underestimate how you spend your time, your money, or both. And they don't understand how limited you are. Either because you're working on a financial goal right now, or because you feel quite stretched thin. You could have a big family, or it could just feel like your family members are just expecting more from you than you can actually practically give, and that they're projecting this harmful stereotype of you needing too much or not giving enough. So you may feel like a family member makes you feel guilty when you need their support, and they underestimate how much support they should be giving you. You feel like someone that needs more support from them than what they're giving you. Like you could actually have used their time, or you could have used their financial support even to help you get back into a stable place. But they may misunderstand how stable you are. They may assume that everything's going one way when it's actually going the other way in terms of your financial stability. So your family doesn't seem to see or respect your basic needs. They underestimate your need for security, stability, and balance. Goodness. Now, when it comes to your friends, I feel like they underestimate the ways in which you're trying to stay connected. You guys may prefer to use casual communication to stay connected to friends, which, isn't long conversations or long phone calls or FaceTime. You may just like to drop in and drop out, but that's your way of showing that you care and of trying to keep communication open. So with the Page of Blades here, it kind of feels like your friends underestimate how much you want to know about their lives and how much you want to stay in contact, because they're fixated on the mode of contact. You may feel like you're just not getting enough communication from your friends, and like a quick text, or if they could just send you a TikTok or a reel, that would be enough, just to let you know that they're okay. So with the Page of Blades here, you feel like your friends underestimate the fact that these little actions are a way of staying connected, of piquing curiosity about each other, and of keeping that communication going. So staying connected. And I think something that you even underestimate is the fact that your friends underestimate how important communication is to you. No matter what form of communication it is, you appreciate when people are blowing up your phone, because it shows you that they're thinking of you. It doesn't have to be a deep and meaningful message, but it could be a rant. Any form of contact brings a smile to your face and helps you feel like that friendship is flowing. With that being said, it looks like your friends underestimate how diverse your interests are, because it seems like you have lots of different people who know you for different things. You may have Gemini placements, but you have friends that don't understand how many varied differences and interests you have. And so it feels like you talk to specific people about specific things, but you don't have a lot of friends that get to see all of you. And you have friends that have never met each other either. So friends underestimate how many people you know, how many people know you, and all of the things that you've got going on in your life. You just tell them this, you tell them that, and it doesn't feel like you do it on purpose. It just feels like your brain compartmentalizes things And so your friends underestimate how much is going on in your life. Now, when it comes to complete strangers, with the Page of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, complete strangers are people that have interacted with you recently or have seen you in public, in your community, on your street, in public spaces. You didn't get to have deep and meaningful conversations with them. You may have nodded or smiled or even said, "Excuse me," or "Hi, can I get through here, please?" But they are strangers. They underestimate, first of all, your age. You could come across as looking younger than you actually are. They also underestimate your agenda when you're in these spaces. You come across as somebody who's just sort of almost loitering, or who's there to just pass time or to learn something. But what they're not realizing is when you're out in public, you have a list of things you need to do, or you have a reason that you're in that space. You don't come across as somebody that just likes to hang out in these spaces where these strangers get to see you. And they often underestimate how out of your element you are and how you're just trying to kind of get through your list, or you're trying to get through your agenda, and then you want to go back to your comfort zone. You want to go back to your nest, or you want to just go back to a place that you feel comfortable in. And so strangers may even try to have a conversation with you, assuming that you have all the time in the world. They may try to ask you questions, assuming that you're easygoing and approachable when you're really just trying to get in and out. And they may also try to give you advice for some reason because of this youthful energy. They may assume that they need to give you advice or directions or kind of help you out in that situation. It feels like strangers underestimate, how old you are, or the reason in which you're in those places. They just see you as this young person, or this person who's learning and who needs a bit of patience and even help. And so this could be applicable in situations where you work with a lot of people, or your work involves you meeting a lot of different people. These strangers might think, "Oh, you're new here. You've just started." And you're like, "No, I've been working here for 5 years. I'm actually the most experienced employee here." And they're like, "Oh." So they seem to underestimate how much experience you have, but also the fact that you have a reason for being there. And once you've ticked that box, you're out of there. Now, when it comes to the Five of Blades, actually, Spirit's also saying some strangers underestimate how little time, patience, and capacity you have. They may expect you to be a very patient person, a very understanding person, like you have all the time in the world, and you're like, "Excuse me, I really need to get out of here. Can you please hurry?" And they're like, "Oh, okay, sorry." And you're like, "I've been waiting here for 10 minutes, and you've been talking to the cashier like they're your best friend. Like, what's going on? If they are your friend, you need to talk when they're not working." So I think that people it could be the environment that you're in. People just assume you have all the time in the world, and they take advantage of that as well. Now, with the Five of Blades, this is your love interest, people that you're interested in love, not just people that have an interest in you. They underestimate how, I want to say, sharp your mind is with the Five of Blades. This card is about saying what you need to say because it aligns with your values having strong opinions regardless of what everyone else thinks, and doing what feels right because you have integrity, even though it's not the most popular thing to do. And that's something that your love interests underestimate about you. Your mind is sharp, and you're not afraid to do what you feel is right and to say the right thing, even if it's not popular, even if it means that other people are going to stop wanting to spend time with you. You stand up for yourself, but you also stand up for other people if that's the right thing to do. You have a lot of integrity, and that's more important to you than being popular. It also is important because of your conscience. I think that your love interests underestimate how important certain things are to you and how you're not willing to compromise on that. And so if you've got a love interest that doesn't take the time to understand your mind, to understand what's important to you, and to understand why, you aren't going to waste your time. This is very much, I'm moving forward without you. I'm cutting you loose. I'm leaving you behind. They may severely underestimate that, and it's at the detriment of your connection. You're not afraid to cut someone loose in the early stages of dating or even later stages if they show you that their integrity doesn't match your own. I feel like you can respect different opinions, but you will always say what you feel is right. However, if someone's integrity doesn't align with yours, if they just seem like a bad person, you can't reason with that, and you're not going to waste your time. That's something that love interests underestimate about you. So that's what I'm seeing for you, my group twos. I'm going to leave your reading there. I hope it was helpful, insightful, and entertaining. Thank you so much for all of your time, your energy, and your support. If you want to support what I do here, consider giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing if you haven't already, and comment down below to let me know how it has resonated for you. Thank you again for joining me on this journey, for exchanging energy with me. And until we meet again, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Bye. Hi Group 3, and welcome to your reading. If you recognize this green crystal, then you're in the right place. I'm curious to know what you guys think this crystal is. I bought it so long ago, I can't remember. And I can't even remember if it was man-made or natural. I just remember being drawn towards it, and all the little things inside it just felt very powerful. So it's been sitting over here for quite some time, and I finally get to use it in a video. So I feel very grateful that you've graced my presence and given me a reason to use this crystal. Group 3, before we open your reading, I'm going to go ahead and set my intentions as your reader, and I'm also going to tune into your energy. This will help me give you the most accurate reading, and I highly recommend you do the same. Just take a quick moment to focus on my voice and to tune in with me. And also consider setting your own intentions. What clarity are you seeking? What questions may you have? What information do you want out of this reading? Consider setting signs of confirmation that you may need to see or hear in order to claim this reading as your own as well. So let's tune in. Spirit, please tune me in to my Group 3's energies. Those that chose the beautiful green crystal tower. Please help me to offer them the most clear, honest messages about their reading and for their highest good moving forward. Thank you, Spirit. Beautiful energy coming from you, Group 3. Let's start by pulling out some oracle cards. Spirit, what do people underestimate about Group 3s? What do people underestimate about Group 3s? What do people... Okay. So we have Mercury and we have stellium. At the back of the deck is the first quarter moon. Interesting. Okay. So this is an interesting message. We'll start with the first quarter moon. Excuse me. This first quarter moon tells us that people underestimate the fact that something is important to you and that it's worth remembering or speaking about later. I feel like there's an energy here of things being fleeting, and it could go both ways. Either you feel like people remember the trivial stuff that you don't want them to remember about you, that they get the wrong first impression about you and they don't take the time to truly understand who you are and why you are the way that you are. And it can also feel like when it comes to the things that are important to you, they don't seem to remember what those things are. Now, outside of that, this first quarter energy is about potential, and it's about this feeling of wasted potential when it's reversed. It's about something that could have, would have, should have happened, but it didn't. Instead of it getting off the ground and turning into something, it's an opportunity that was never claimed or developed. And so with this first quarter moon being here, it could feel like people are constantly underestimating how important certain things are to you. And you may be someone who remembers that with Mercury and stellium. Once someone does something that makes you feel insignificant, unimportant, or like they don't prioritize you, you remember that. And same with the other way. If someone remembers something very specific about you, you appreciate that. So I think with Mercury and stellium being here, people are often underestimating how active your mind is, how observant you are, and how important your communication is, to the point where what you say and what you choose not to say is really important to you. It feels like you're a bit of a sponge and you absorb everything. And it's not even about the fact that there's a lot. It's about the fact that you don't forget, is what it feels like. You remember a lot of little things. You could be someone that retains little information and you're really good at trivia for that reason, looking at a positive. But also on a heavier aspect with stellium here, if someone's going through something and they snap under pressure and take it out on you, you don't forget that. You remember that, and it leads to you feeling with stellium like that's something that that person has acquired against their record in your mind. And so stellium feels like this energy of receipts that you have about the people around you, where you just don't forget easily who they are, what they've done, and how they've contributed. It's like you have these laws, all of these like books and internal lore on people. And I mean lore like L-O-R-E, lore. And it just feels like it all adds up. Now, outside of that, there's also a side of you that is very curious and that naturally wants to know more about, I want to say everything, but once you lock in on something that you're interested in, I think that people underestimate how important it is to you, because this stellium energy can talk about pressure and intensity of things coming together. It feels like people may underestimate how important your interests are, how important something on your mind is. You may mention it once, but really it could be really bothering you under the surface. And so it feels like you don't often communicate, or you feel like you're misunderstood and underestimated because people aren't understanding how you communicate and how you feel. You may feel like people are just taking things at a surface level or drawing too much attention to the wrong things instead of understanding what is going on or what is happening in that situation or what is important to you or what is causing you stress. And so really, the Stellium card can represent having a lot of passion. It can represent having this strong almost fixation, and that everything else is hard to focus on once you have that desire, that passion, that tunnel vision almost. And so it does feel like people underestimate how hard it is for you to retain information about other things once you're locked into something that you're passionate about and that you're interested in. You may feel like people expect more from you mentally, or you may feel like people expect more from you out of conversations than what you're able to give. Especially with first quarter moon reversed, this is a strong feeling of someone who's kind of misinterpreted in the early stages of getting to know you, or you're underestimated because you choose to do things privately. And it could feel like people who you've even known for years only really know you for one thing that you did years ago. They're not keeping updated on what you're currently passionate about, what you're currently doing. You may have a very selective social circle, but let's see what tarot has to say as well. Okay. So, we'll get some tarot out for my group 3 spirit. What do people underestimate about group 3? I also think that people underestimate your social skills. You may feel like you're constantly compared to a sibling or a family member, like a cousin. And you may feel like you have to be as social as them or as chatty as them. Let's see. Spirit, for my group 3s, what do their family underestimate about them? What does group 3's family underestimate about them? The King of Pentacles. What does group 3's friends underestimate about them? We have the Death card. What do the strangers around group 3 underestimate about them? The strangers. And what do group 3's love interests underestimate? Interesting. So your bottom deck energy is going to tell us a little bit more about each of these cards. We have the 2 of crystals at the back of the deck. So with this bottom deck energy and the King of Crystals, I think I said Pentacles, sorry, the King of Crystals, which is the King of Wands. It feels like your family underestimates a lot of your interests. They may underestimate you by putting a lot of attention on particular interests that you have. And you may even feel like you're expected to follow in their footsteps or to be a master of something that you're just casually interested in. It could feel like your family is projecting a lot of their expectations onto you, and that you're expected to have very similar passions or creative interests at them. It could also feel like they're projecting cultural expectations onto you, or like they're projecting religious expectations onto you. But this does feel like they're putting an idea of success onto you, and they want you to be the most successful in something that you're simply interested in because it's an outlet, it's a passion. And so with your family, it could feel like their expectations in general are really high. And it could also feel like they're putting a lot of pressure on you when it comes to your future and when it comes to how to be most successful with some talents you have, even if that's not what you want to do. So it could feel like you have a lot of big decisions to make, and your family underestimates how talented you are in other things, how much passion you have about other things, and about how much you want to do other things. I don't know if it's because you haven't communicated it or if that's just them projecting really strong expectations onto you, but your family underestimates what you want to do with your life. They underestimate how much of a plan you already have, how much you want to do certain things, and they also underestimate how much, I want to say planning you've put into it or effort you've put into it. Like, you're pretty much ready to do this. And I think that they underestimate how independent this energy feels within you. Like, you don't need them to do it, but it does feel like it would be disrespectful to do it without their support, if that makes sense. And I don't know if you even care about that, so it may not apply to all of you, this feeling of disrespect. But I think with the Two of Crystals being here, your family underestimates how ready you are to do what you want to do, even if it's not what they want you to do. You're someone that feels very called towards your passions, and you feel like you can pull it off, but you don't think that they'll support your vision. That's what this feels like. Is there anything else we can tell group 3 about what their family underestimates about them? I think that they underestimate how resourceful you are. You know, you could be dealing with people who've lived in a very different society or time, and you're pretty tuned in. I think that you have the ability to seize opportunities that didn't even exist when they were your age, and that's hard to explain. But I also think that you're someone that has this fire that your family can't tame, they can't control. And as soon as you have your freedom, your independence, your ability to do it, you're going to do it, whether they want you to or not. And you just hope that they will be able to accept that about you, or will be able to be at peace with that. That's the best way I can describe it. I hope I did you justice. Now, when it comes to your friends, with the Death card reversed, your friends underestimate oh my gosh. See, who are your friends? Because this means that they don't realize how much things bother you. Your friends don't see how much you've been through. They underestimate how much loss you've had to deal with, how much death you've had to deal with. And whether that's literal or not, death also means endings and really emotionally challenging situations in life that build emotional resilience, but that also put us through the process of grieving, where we have to contend with some very hard feelings in order to embrace a new version of ourselves. We have to say goodbye to who we were in order to live a very different life than what we originally wanted to. And really, this card says that your friends underestimate your backstory as a person. They don't know everything. You keep a lot of your past separate from your close friendships. They underestimate how much you're going through emotionally, how much you're having to shed, how much you're having to overcome. They underestimate the transformation you're going through right now. And they also underestimate some of the new beginnings you're creating for yourself. It feels like you're going through a change that your friends don't know about, and it's going to lead towards you being a very different person and feeling like a very different person. Even if on the outside you look the same, on the inside, group 3, you're not who you were. Your friends underestimate how much you've changed and how much you are changing right now, especially with the 2 of crystals. They may be underestimating how big these changes are and how much these changes will lead towards you being on a very different path than you were. And so I think that you may even be outgrowing some of your friends right now. And you may have opened up to one of them recently, or a select few. But I think that they all underestimated how much you were going through and how much was changing for you, let alone some of the big decisions that you were making about your future, which included some very big changes to your future. And so in friendships, the 2 of crystals talks about the fact that your friends underestimated how powerful your internal process of transformation has been. It's led to some significant external changes, and you now feel like you're at a fork in the roads where you want to do things that could mean you're having to leave certain friendships behind. In order to continue this process of transformation, you've got to say goodbye to an old version of you that your friends were closely associated with. Will they be able to grow with you, or will you be growing apart? They've underestimated that. You may just be at a point in your journey where it feels like what you've been through has made you a very different person, and they just don't have that same life experience as you. Now, when it comes to strangers, these are people that you've interacted with recently, whether you've spoken to them or just been in the same public space as them. These are strangers that have either seen you, or they've interacted with you, or been able to hear you in a public space. So it's not always a physical space, it could be a digital space. In your case, it is likely digital with the King of Blades reversed. But I do think that these strangers underestimate, how do I word this? Your intentions, for lack of a better word. The King of Blades reversed feels like they have underestimated your intentions behind your actions, behind your words. You come across as somebody that's either being a bit of a troll, or in that you're doing things that are provocative, that seem to antagonize, or that create a bit of a scene. And instead of it being the right thing to say or do, it comes across as being a bit disrespectful or selfish. Like you're doing things that offend other people, and it feels like you're doing it on purpose because you care more about yourself than you care about them. Now, what they underestimate is how, when you're in these public spaces, you are only thinking about yourself. You're thinking about protecting yourself, and you're there for a specific reason. Your intentions aren't malicious, but your intentions are to do what you went there to do. So if it's a digital space, you're there, you're not taking it seriously, you're protecting yourself, but you're also exploring an interest online, or you're trying to get information about something that you're interested in. And you could also be someone that your digital footprint is very much just mindless. Like it's not too deep, it's just to numb and distract you. And I'm hearing like brain rot here. So in these digital spaces, you may not be putting the dots together, and you may also be antagonizing people on purpose because you're not taking it seriously. You may run profiles or accounts that are like fan accounts, or that seem to be reposting very specific things because that's what you're interested in. You're not trying to hurt other people, you're just trying to create what you want to do in that space. Now, when it comes to public physical spaces that aren't digital, I feel like people underestimate how protective you are of yourself and how stubborn your mind can be. Like, once you're done, you're done. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to do something you don't want to do. And you don't want to have to listen to things that other people want from you, especially if they're strangers. As far as you're concerned, there's somebody else more qualified who should be there to help, to support, to listen. That's not your role. In a public space where this is a complete stranger, it's every man for themselves. And you're usually in these public spaces because you're trying to follow a plan that somebody else made for you, meeting up with a friend, going out with your family, whatever it is, not because you wanted to be in the middle of this department store. You know what I mean? So you do have this like resting bitch face almost, group 3, that is very repelling, and it makes people feel like you're there for your own reasons, which I don't think is an underestimation, but I think that your intentions are misunderstood. People seem to underestimate your intentions, and you're not trying to be malicious, you're not trying to hurt anybody, you're just trying to protect yourself, your own interests, and you're trying to make choices that are in your best interest. You're not trying to be out here making everybody feel better about the world and making everybody feel safe. You don't want to have to do that. You just want to do your shopping, or you just want to meet your friend. You don't want to feel like you're responsible for other people's feelings. So that's what's coming through for strangers, a little bit of tea. When it comes to love interests, these are people that you're interested in romantically. I think that what they underestimate about you is there's a part of you that finds yourself in your relationships. There's a part of you that's drawn towards people and you don't really know why. And they underestimate how insecure their place is, because you may be attracted to someone, but you don't understand why. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to get to know them better. You're trying to understand whether or not you're even compatible and what you have to give and what they have to give. And so it may take you a while to really open up. And you may be someone that's very attracted to the idea of people, but it takes a while for you to feel safe enough to really fall in love and to truly connect and share your true vulnerable self with. For that reason, it may also be easy for you to disconnect, for you to shut down, or for you to feel confused about what you feel for someone. You may be in a stage in your love life where it feels like you're experimenting a little bit. It feels like you don't really know what you want, or you don't know kind of the qualities or the type of person or the type of relationship. You're still figuring it out. And so your love interests may feel that you're interested in them, but they underestimate how much you're trying to figure out behind the scenes. They underestimate how open-minded you're trying to be, and also how much you have to figure out on your own end before you can truly commit to the next step in that crush, in that relationship, in that dating connection. And so people may feel like you're really interested in them one minute, and then the next minute you go distant, or you say something that makes them go, but I thought we were going well. I thought we were really good. And even your friends may say, I thought you really liked that person. And you may go, well, I thought so too, but I just needed some more time to figure out my feelings. And so for that reason, you may be someone that's really susceptible towards love bombing, whether you give or receive it. It may feel like you develop a crush really quickly, but it could also feel like it's hard for you to deepen those feelings naturally. It takes a while for you to understand what your feelings actually are, and to also understand whether or not you see potential in that connection. And so what your love interests underestimate is how romanticized your view on love is. It's hard for you to find the real thing because you're not really sure of what you want, let alone of how to have it. And so the people that you're interested in don't seem to get to show you who they really are before you figure out how much more to give. You're very quick in their minds to decide that they're not the right fit, even though they thought that things could lead to more. And so for that reason, you may have like a celebrity crush that you've held onto for at least 2+ years now, or you may have a long-term infatuation that's just been really confusing. And you may also cycle through people. Once you talk to them, you may lose interest in them very quickly. But that's what your love interests underestimate about you, is how the initial stages of getting to know someone is very confusing, and it's often something that is over-romanticized. So once the reality of someone and who they are sets in, you go, oh. And that's also something that you feel. So it could be something about the social world that you're a part of, the society, or maybe it's your generation. You could feel like people are just projecting a fantasy onto you, that they want an idealized version of you, and that they want to see you in a very specific way. You may also feel like people are constantly comparing you to other people, and that they're not taking time to know your heart, to know who you truly are, and to actually form this meaningful connection with you. So you may feel like you're just one of many, and that people are underestimating how unique you are and what you bring to the table as an individual. So that is what I'm seeing for you, group 3. Thank you for all of your time, your energy, and your support. I appreciate you for showing up to this reading and exchanging energy with me. If you would like to support what I do here, because there is no extended reading, the best way you can support me is by liking this video, subscribing if you haven't already, and commenting down below or sharing it with a friend. As we part ways, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey, group 3, and wishing you all the best moving forward. Bye. Hi, group 4, and welcome to your reading. If you recognize this amethyst quartz crystal tower, you're in the right place. For your reading today, we're asking Spirit, what do people underestimate about you? Now, to give you the best reading that I can, I'm going to take a quick moment to tune into your energy and set my intentions. Oh, it's already happening. I highly recommend you do the same. It's literally like your energy is very strong, sweet soul. I might just have to get through this spiel really quickly, but set your intentions now. Consider the clarity you're seeking, what drew you towards this reading, and how you hope to gain any information out of this reading, what that information may be. And I'm going to go ahead and set my intentions now and tune into your energy. Spirit, please connect me to my group 4s, those that chose this beautiful crystal tower. Please connect me to their energy and help me to channel the most clear, honest messages for group 4s today. Thank you, Spirit. I think it's just the Amethyst. This crystal tower is very strong. It's got a lot of energy, so I might have to just put it down and leave it for now. Let's have a look, sweet souls, at what people underestimate about you. Now, in this reading, there will not be an extended. I'm doing this reading as a early release for the Hermie members on my website and as a solo reading, so there's no extended reading. If you resonate with this message and you want to support me and what I do here, the best way you can do that is by interacting with this video, giving it a like, sharing it with a friend or family member, and subscribing if you haven't already, and commenting down below if you want to or if you can. I understand wanting to stay anonymous, and that may be a reason why you don't like commenting, but interacting in any way would best support what I do here. Spirit, for my group 4s, what do people underestimate about them? Group 4. What do people underestimate about group 4? All right, I gotta shuffle it this way, apparently. Spirit, what do people underestimate about group 4? We have T square reversed, and at the back of the deck is Mercury. All right. So for those that chose this Amethyst crystal tower, what people underestimate about you is it's often at times where there's misunderstandings. Look, can we just lead with that? With T square and Mercury here, what people underestimate is also how they misunderstand you. It feels like your communication, your mind, your intelligence, how much you value communication, how much you need information. You may get frustrated in situations where people are only telling you bare facts or they're giving you the bare minimum, whereas you like to know the details. You want to know, you feel like information is power, or that if somebody isn't telling you everything, that they may be manipulating the situation and that they may be trying to control you or the narrative or trying to make you think in a way that you don't resonate with. And so I feel like people underestimate how intelligent you are, but also how much information is important to you and how receptive you are to information. Now, in some cases, you may feel like people are misinterpreting the way that you remember things. So it could feel like there's been a few instances where people say, oh, group 4 said that, and you'll go, oh, I didn't. And if somebody says, well, group 4, why would you say that? That wasn't what actually happened. I feel like you have a hard time repeating things exactly through like if it was supposed to be verbatim, you would struggle. If it was the overall gist of it or the theme of it, then that's fine. But if someone's expecting you to verbatim repeat what has happened, that's where you struggle. And I think what people underestimate is, yes, you love information, but you may not be a reliable source of information either, because you don't like to feel pressured to repeat things. You like to just summarize in your head, take notes, and then have your own opinion about it. Does that make sense? So I do think that with this T square card reversed, you don't like to be put under pressure. And people underestimate how much you know and see, but you also don't like to feel like the only source of information. You don't like to feel like people are relying on you to remember things. You do it because it's a part of who you are, but you don't want to feel the pressure of being a witness or being the only valuable source, if that makes sense. And so you may be underestimated as somebody who even likes to gossip or likes to talk about things. Or you may be somebody who's put in a situation where people are coming to you for information and you're trying to tell them, I'm just the messenger, don't shoot the messenger. Or you should really ask somebody else because I wasn't there. I heard about it through a friend. With that being said, Mercury does also talk about some of those certain relationships between friends, siblings, or cousins. So you may feel like you're underestimated based off of what people know about your family, your friends, or your siblings, either because people expect you to pick up the pieces and support your friends, family, siblings, or because you're compared to them in some way. So let's have a better look at this T-square energy now. With it being reversed, there's a feeling here of alleviating pressure, and it makes me think that one thing that people underestimate about you is the fact that something that bothers you is worth giving credit to, acknowledging, recognizing, and even praising. You may feel like someone that's just expected to deal with things, like you're just expected to pick up the pieces or fix other people's mistakes, or even just get over it, and that you're not entitled towards feeling your own feelings or having your own crash outs, for lack of a better word. You could feel like someone who people are at times even walking around on eggshells because they're assuming that something is wrong instead of asking you. So this feeling also feels like people assume a lot of you and about you instead of asking you, group 4. It's going to be interesting to break this down with tarot because already I'm getting an interesting picture of like the types of people in your life, because why would they assume that, you know? But anyway, in shadow, according to the guidebook, the T-square puts pressure on one particular planet in your natal chart, bringing tension and confusion. Yeah, it feels like people assume things about you and they underestimate how little you know. They just assume you know. That could be your amethyst connection as well, because the amethyst crystal is a calming crystal, and it is also a crystal that people use to connect to their intuition or to just bring a sense of peace to their home. So it's a good crystal to have on you if you're an overthinker or if you're going through a challenging experience where you're having a lot of anxiety. This crystal can calm you and connect you to your inner knowing. So it feels like people underestimate. You may be around people who think that this is just how you are, but no, they're not treating you in a way that brings out your calm version of yourself, your peaceful version of yourself. They may be treating you in a way that brings out a very restless version of yourself that feels like it's anxious and needs to know more than what you have. So people may underestimate how not knowing certain things really overwhelms you. It makes you spiral into overthinking, feeling confused, and assuming the worst case when all they had to do was just tell you the full story. So I think you're somebody that doesn't like for people to say, oh, I've got something to tell you, but I can't tell you right now. You're like, why would you say that? Just tell me now. But let's see what tarot has to say as well and how that translates into all the relationships in your life. We're going to start with family. What do family underestimate about you? For my group 3s, please, Spirit. What do the people in group 3's life? Oh, you're group 4. I'm so sorry. What do the people in group 4's life underestimate about them? What do the people in group 4's life underestimate about them, Spirit? Okay. So we have the Queen of Pentacles. I'm sorry, I have to shuffle that back in because I need to be more specific. So I'm going to set my intentions. Going again. What do group 4's family members underestimate about them, Spirit? Okay, the Star card for your family. What do group 4's friends underestimate about them? Okay, we do have a Pentacles card, the Page of Pentacles. And what do the strangers around group 4 underestimate about them? The strangers. Okay, we have the Queen of Blades. And what does group 4's love interests underestimate about them? What does group 4's love interests? We have the 7 of Cups. Okay. So at the back of the deck, we have the 10 of Cups. Now this bottom deck energy is going to help connect us to each of these cards by giving a little bit of a different nuanced depth to each card. So starting with your family here with the Star card, we can see that your family underestimate their role in your life. It feels like your blood family doesn't feel like your soul family. They don't feel like your star family. They feel like people that actually misunderstand you a lot. They don't seem to resonate with you. And it could feel like they underestimate how you need to be loved because you don't feel connected to them. You don't feel like they actually connect to you with your love language. And your family underestimates how much more connection you actually need from them. They don't seem to feel like family to you. They just tick the box of being family by blood. So you're feeling like a bit of a black sheep, and your family underestimates how excluded you actually feel, how alienated you feel, to the point where your family underestimates a lot about your personality, a lot about your interests. And it could feel like your family just doesn't know you, group 4, like they don't take the time to understand you and appreciate you for who you are. It feels like your family underestimates your desire to be seen as an individual and your individual needs. So the 10 of Cups means that your family underestimates what it takes for you to feel seen and to belong as a part of the family. You may feel like you just don't belong. And they may underestimate the ways in which they can do that. Because it could be that they are either doing too much or they're not doing enough of the right things with the 10 of Cups reversed. It could feel like they're pretending, and that's what you don't like. You don't like that your family's pretending to know you, to love you, because you don't feel that way. Goodness, this is deep, group 4s. I want to go as far as to say that your family just doesn't resonate with you. you feel very different, and you may go through a lot of stages where you just feel like you were born into the wrong family. You may be someone who feels like they need to create their sense of family. Like, family isn't blood, family is connection, family is showing up for each other. And you feel like someone who's underestimated because maybe even people have gotten used to you being the black sheep, and you could feel like instead of people taking time to get to know you, they just treat you like you're different now. They accept that you're different when really you just wanted them to take time to actually get to know you. Goodness, group 4. So when it comes to your friends, with the Page of Pentacles here and the Ten of Cups, it feels like you're at a point in your journey where you're still creating meaningful, long-lasting friendships. And it could feel like your friends underestimate how important they are and how much they mean to you. You may feel like someone who, when you find somebody that you really connect with, you want to hold on to that. And so you get a strong sense of belonging out of your friendships. You have a strong sense of connection from your friendships, but it also feels like it takes time for you to truly trust, open up to, and trust your friends. So your friends may underestimate how much you want to build something. It may feel like one minute, they're really excited to spend time with you, and then it feels like you're pushing them away. So they try to give you space, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to make friends. I don't really know how to create that connect. It's not natural is what it feels like, or it's something that you feel you struggle with. But you have people in your life who it feels like you really care about, especially your friends, the platonic connections. But it feels like they underestimate how much they mean to you. They underestimate how much time it takes for you to open up. And they also underestimate how inexperienced you are when it comes to having supportive, loyal, kind friends in your life. So I think that overall, your friends underestimate the fact that you don't really know how to do this. You don't really know how to create meaningful connections. You're doing the best that you can, and you're likely to make some mistakes because you're learning. And I'm feeling like regardless of your age, it's just something that you're going through. It's a learning process of creating meaningful connections in friendship. And so you need a lot of patience. You also want friends to tell you when you should be doing something, because you don't know. So if your friend expected you to do something and you didn't know that, rather than them hold it against you, you would hope that they would tell you, that they would open up to you and say, hey, I actually really want you to be there. And you would hope that you have friends that are patient with you and your circumstances, but that also will stick around regardless of the little hiccups along the way. You want friends that can relate to you, or at least be patient with you. So I feel like your friends underestimate how you show love and how you show that they mean something, because they don't seem to realize how much they mean to you and that they are basically your family, or that you're very grateful for them. You're still just trying to figure out how to have friends or at this stage in your life, you're figuring out how to make those connections more meaningful. Now, when it comes to complete strangers, these are people that you've likely connected with in public spaces or online with the Queen of Blades reversed. So with it being the Queen of Blades, I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. It does feel like this is likely online. It feels like people underestimate who you truly are, because you're able to portray a character. Strangers see a version of you and they make a lot of assumptions about you. One of those assumptions is that you're older than you actually are. People assume that you're much older, that you're more experienced than you actually are, and that you know things that you're not telling them. So if your work involves interacting with a lot of strangers, people assume that you're like the manager, or that you're in charge, or that you know things. And when you turn around and say, I don't know, I just started here, or I'm actually just a clerk, like I need to call a supervisor, I think that people get really surprised. Outside of that, people also underestimate, in terms of strangers, they underestimate your face, because you come across with the Queen of Blades as someone who's either upset, angry, or unbothered. So it's giving RBF, resting bitch face. It's this energy of you coming across as, don't bother me, don't talk to me, don't, like, I'm not in the mood. When actually, like, that's just your chill face. That's just you zoned out, not really paying attention and not really wanting to think too much. So I think that complete strangers underestimate and misinterpret your mood based off of your face, based off of your body language, and based off of assuming that you're older or more experienced than you actually are in certain settings in public spaces. Online, I think that people, again, assume that you're older than you are, or they assume that you're more knowledgeable than you are. And it could be because of how you interact online. You guys may come across as people that know a lot, or that have really strong opinions. You also come across as like spammers, people that either spend a lot of time online or that are chronically consuming content. So strangers assume that you know a lot just because they assume that you're someone who's tech savvy and who's always online, chronically online. Now, with that being said, I do think that strangers misinterpret a lot. Like, you guys are hardly ever having accurate first impressions. You feel like the type of people that after you open your mouth, and if you're around people that you're comfortable with, strangers immediately realize, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got that wrong. I can't believe group 4 is actually like this. I thought they were like that. So it does feel like strangers underestimate you severely based off of a first impression, based off of one thing that you say, one thing that you do. You guys are constantly stereotyped or typecast as a specific demographic of person, or as a specific personality type. And it's just because you're constantly misunderstood. Like, a lot of people in your life don't seem to connect to your heartfelt intentions. They don't seem to understand the way that you give and receive love. And they don't seem to understand what's important to you and what's meaningful to you. And they also don't seem to understand your love language, the way that you show love and need to receive love, whether we're talking about your friends over here, your family over here, complete strangers, or love interests. Now, the interesting thing about this card is it did pop up in the same position for another group, so you may have messages in that group. When I do 4 groups, I usually notice that the 4th group is like a blend of everything. So maybe you came from that group and had a look at this one and it resonates a bit more over here. But basically, these 2 cards tell us that the people that you're interested in romantically underestimate your emotional depth, and you may feel like they're projecting things onto you, that they expect you to be more emotionally aware, mature, accommodating, empathetic than you actually are. And it could feel like people try to project very progressive, idealistic standards onto you. Like they may want things to go a very specific way with you, whereas you're like, well, what about what I want? And so it could feel like the people that you're interested are only interested in you for specific reasons, and that they project those reasons onto you as either a fantasy or an idealized version of who you are, without really taking time to connect to what you want, to what you need, and to what's actually best for you. So it could feel like your relationships are constantly trying to teach you how to show up as a more confident person who's able to really advocate for what they want, for what they need, and for what you deserve. It feels like your love interests underestimate how affectionate you can be and how your love language means so much to you. Once you're given that attention in the way that you need it, it could make you fall head over heels, and it could make you fall very hard and fast in love, and it could cause you to feel very much like this is a soulmate connection, because you are constantly feeling misunderstood, even by your friends, your family. So when you find a lover who loves you the way that you want to be loved, it could feel like your whole world becomes about them, because it feels like your whole identity is about finding people who actually connect with you. And it feels like you're constantly trying to find people who are like you, or who can at least understand you for who you truly are. So when they do, it feels like things just go deep, either really quickly or really intensely with these two cards, to the point where you guys may need to learn the hard way how to develop healthy attachment styles in love, and how to be very careful about over romanticizing your lovers, so that you're not ignoring red flags. And when it comes to your love interests, you could feel like your relationships teach you a lot about how long-term relationships need to be sacred for a reason, because compromising and giving too much or expecting too much can do a lot of damage long term. And I think that romantic relationships help you learn more about how your family relationships really messed up your attachment style, your sense of identity, and how much importance you put on other people instead of yourself. So to close your reading, I just want to do something that I didn't really do for other people, but I feel called to do it for you. I just want to have a look at what your love language actually is, group 4. So that can help you understand how to give and receive love in a way that feels healthier, more natural, and you can use this to communicate with people. You say, hey, my love language is this, so if you do this, like that helps me feel more secure in our friendship, in our connection, in our relationship. What is group 4's love language, Spirit? What are their love languages? Can I get another card? What is group 4's love languages? Another card. Thank you. So with Aquarius showing up, you're a very unique soul. You need to feel like you're a personality person. So you need to feel attracted to somebody's personality and you need to know that they're attracted to your personality as well. You want to feel like someone who people are taking the time to get to know beyond your external appearance, beyond your immediate impression. And you also want to have a strong sense of friendship in all of your relationships, whether it's romantic or platonic. You need to feel like the people that you care about are invested in your interests and respect your interests, even if they're not equally as passionate about the things that you're passionate about. You need to feel like they're making time for you and for what's important for you. And therefore, you have a very soft spot for people who sacrifice things in order for you to be happy. If someone's going to compromise or sacrifice doing what they want to do in order to do what you want to do, that's going to make you happy. But you have to be patient with the people around you too, because you will have a tendency with this Aquarius energy to get frustrated when people are just expecting you to constantly sacrifice and compromise what you want to do. It has to go both ways. And that's something you need to remind yourself of in long-term connections. They take compromise, they take equal effort. You both need to compromise, you both need to give, and you both need to invest. You can't just expect them to, and they can't just expect you to. Because of that, in love, you need to feel like your lover is your best friend, and that they are making time for you, and that they are connecting with you one-on-one, regardless of what else is going on in life, regardless of how big your other responsibilities get or your other social commitments get. You have to feel like your lover or your friends have one-on-one time for you. And the same goes with your family. Your family members should be making one-on-one time for you. You don't do well in big group settings. People get to see a version of you in a group, but you feel like you get drowned out. You feel like you're not being seen or heard. And so group settings help take the pressure off you. But when it comes to creating meaningful connections, group settings take away that one-on-one time that you actually value in your core. So because this is an Aquarius air energy, one of your stereotypical love languages is words of affirmation. You pay attention to the way that people talk to you. You pay attention to the way that people treat you, and you want to feel seen and heard. So if people are complimenting you and it feels genuine, it's noticed. And you may have something really cheeky or smart to say back to deflect some of that attention, or to be a bit sassy and not take it seriously, because Aquarius energy likes to keep things light. They don't like to take things too seriously in an instant. They like to process it and then add weight to it later. But it does mean something. When the people around you are looking at you and they notice you and they compliment you for something that you've taken time to do, whether it's a new haircut, a new shirt, a new pair of shoes, you appreciate that. And you do that too. You notice when things change around you. Because of that, you do appreciate consistency. You appreciate when people show up as they have, and when they do change, you want to know why. You want to be connected to the change. And you are inspired by your close circle. So when your close circle gets to do something, it piques your interest. And because of that, you also need to be careful about limiting your experiences. You're someone that's supposed to interact with a lot of people in your life, as that's the only way you're going to get more experiences out of life. If you keep your social circle small, your experiences will be small. Even though you have an independent streak that wants to be rebellious and do their own thing and have your individuality and freedom, you also are more likely to create meaningful change when you're around people that you trust. And that's not going to happen unless you have people around you who you trust, who are open to new experiences like you. So be careful about limiting your experiences just because your trusted people don't want to do the same thing as you. That's a sign that you need to broaden your social circle and gain more trusted people, or communicate your needs better and say, well, actually, this is really important to me. I do want to try this, and I'm not going to do it without you. So it would mean a lot for me if we could do this together. I think that you underestimate how important that communication is. People around you can't read your mind, group 4. You have to be able to communicate your needs. With the 9th house here, it also feels like your love language has a lot to do with feeling like you're a part of something bigger without feeling like you have all of these expectations to be successful in something bigger. You want to be able to try things and to experiment and to know what else is out there, but you don't want to feel like you have to commit to a bachelor degree in order to do it. For example, you may be interested in studying abroad or having like an international experience, but it could feel like your only opportunities to do so are going to require commitment and sacrifice and a lot of risks or challenges. So you would love to be able to just experiment and try things without feeling like you have to succeed in it and be condemned towards some sort of deeper commitment. I think that for that reason, your love language involves acts of service where people are able to either facilitate experiences by buying you experiences. So that's a combination of things, isn't it? It's not acts of service, it's like gifts. But I feel like you don't just want an expensive gift, you would prefer an experience. You would prefer doing something with the person that you love and being able to experience something with them, being able to push yourself out of what you know with someone that you know, so that it's not completely brand new, out of your element and uncomfortable, which is similar to what we were talking about here. I think the 9th house really amplifies the fact that your relationships feel more meaningful if they're also creating meaningful experiences, whether that's connected to your interests, to new cultural experiences, religious experiences, or just seeing what else is out there in the world, how other people live, and being able to compare that to what you've got. For that reason, you want to feel like your loved ones, whether they're platonic or romantic, are a part of a bigger picture. Your relationships have to feel like they have meaning. It's not just that they serve a purpose, it's that they're exciting. There's an element to them that feels comfortable, and there's also an element that feels like it challenges you in the best of ways. You want to feel like the people around you are complementing you. They don't have to be like you, but their differences should feel like it's complementary to who you are, because it's helping you experience things that you wouldn't otherwise experience. And it's challenging you to do things that you wouldn't do for yourself. So with the full moon here, once you do love somebody, trust them, and truly connect to them, you trust, feel, and love deeply. Your love language has you at times being very fiercely protective, loving, devoted, and just deeply in love with that person. Whether it's platonic or romantic, the full moon card, however, alludes to the fact that you appreciate when people show you their layers. You appreciate when people show you parts of themselves that they're uncomfortable with. If someone is able to show themselves to you authentically in a very human way, without a filter, without makeup, without all the extra stuff, you immediately feel attracted to their vulnerability. And you want that in your connections too. You want to feel like you can show up as yourself and be vulnerable and be respected and appreciated and loved. You believe that vulnerability is so attractive, and that involves people just showing up as they are, no filter, just you. No matter how unattractive or ugly it seems in traditional standards of beauty, if somebody is opening their heart or showing who they really are, that's most attractive to you. Authenticity. So that is what I'm seeing for you, group 4. I'm going to end your reading here. I hope that extra section was helpful for you and helped you understand more about yourself and how you can connect with the people around you. It's been a pleasure to interact with you and to be a part of your journey. Thank you so much for your energy, your time, and all of your support. If you want to support what I do here, there is no extended reading. So the best way that you can do that is by liking this video, sharing it with a friend, subscribing if you haven't already, and commenting down below. You don't have to do all of that. 1 or 2 of those things would go a long way. Thank you so much. And until we meet again, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Bye.